Oh, I think we're live. We're live and watching.
Hello, everyone. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
All right. Since it's 8 o'clock, we'll be starting at 8:05 to allow people some time to come onto the YouTube link. All right, everyone. Right now it's currently 8:05, so now it's time to begin this webinar. Welcome all the members of CNH Circle K. My name is Manny Alasco, and I will be one of your presenters for this Kiwanis Family and Foundation sponsored webinar, How to Host a Key to College. The first thing we'll do is go over the table of contents for this workshop and go through everything on that list. But before that, I'd like to welcome you all and I appreciate all of you for taking time out of your Sunday to join us in how to host the Key to College. So the first thing we'll do is meet our hosts, a little bit more about me and the two other presenters. Then we'll talk about an overview of Key to College. What is it, and why is it worth it to host one? Then we'll go into the nitty-gritty details about planning a Key to College. What Key College is such a big program and it requires so many things to plan. So we'll be able to go over the extensive list of what's required to plan it. After that, we'll be going over the experiences of the three presenters when we planned our own Key colleges. So you could see how everything we talked about come together, and you can hear both the triumphs and perhaps some of the things we need to work on, which can help y'all when you're planning. And then we'll take questions. So, whether you are a Kiwanis family chair or not, we welcome you to this workshop and we hope you learn a lot. So let's begin with meeting our hosts. Okay, so once again, my name is Manny Alasco and I'm currently a third year studying at University of California, Berkeley. I'm an integrated biology and public health double major, and I've been in the Kiwanis family for 7 years, so 4 years at Key Club and now 3 years in Circle K. And the positions I've held within the Circle K Club includes being Kiwanis Family Chair last year, and currently I am serving as the Administrative Vice President for the club.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lawrence Chan, and I'll be a second year at UC Riverside. My major right now, I'm a business major right now, and I'll be concentrating in accounting. I have been in the Kiwanis family for 4 years, 3 years in Key Club, and 1 year in Circle K. And my current positions are the Kiwanis Family Youth Relations Chair, and I also serve as the Desert Oasis Liaison in the District Kiwanis Family and Foundation Committee.
Well, hi everybody. My name is Mickey Rosal. I'm from the University of Nevada, Reno, but I'm actually on an exchange program, so I'm studying at Hosei University in Tokyo, Japan. My program's like 1 year long, so I already finished one semester, so it's summer break in Japan right now, so I decided to come back to Reno, so I'm actually in Reno, not Japan. But I will be going back to Japan soon. My major is international business, with a focus on like the Japanese economy. I've been in the Kiwanis family for 6 years, 3 years for P Club and 3 years for Circle K. And then I'll start with my most recent position. I'll start with my most recent position. I am the public relations chair for my club at the UNR. Last year, I was the vice president of administration. 2 years ago, I was in the district Kiwanis Family Committee, and then I was also the Kiwanis Family Chair for my club. So I got lots of Kiwanis family experience.
All right, so we'll begin our overview of what a Key College program is. So at its bare bones, Key College is a program in which Circle K members teach high school students, which is our Key Club and Key Wins people, about the numerous facets of college. So this can include anything from how to apply for college, what's it like to be in college, financial aid, etc. As a Kiwanis family chair who's planning this kid at college, you have the flexibility and capacity to focus on whatever particular aspect of college you would like. Another thing is that it's an opportunity for Circle K members to mentor the younger branch of our Kiwanis family. Since you are teaching the high school students, you are imparting your wisdom and sharing your experiences, your varied, wide, and all valid experiences of your college traveling experience. Okay, then
Okay, so why host a Key College? So for high school students, it is really like important for them to like know different aspects and concepts about college life from Circle K members, since most of the Circle K members are experienced, and eventually we'll go deeper into what workshops that will be hosted. And since this is a huge Kiwanis family event, there are multiple clubs and different branches of the Kiwanis family that are present. So you have mostly Key Club and Kiwins members, Circle K members, and most importantly, the Kiwanians. And this is the best way for Circle K members to communicate with Key Club members or Kiwins members, since not all of them know what Circle K is or what Circle K does. And we cannot forget the Kiwanians. They are so wonderful. Without their support, none of this could possibly happen. And there must be one chaperone per 12 Key Club or Kiwins members present. So always invite your Kiwanians to your Key to College. And giving advice to those who are eager to learn more about college. As a Circle K member, you can always give useful and helpful tips to incoming freshman college students, such as choosing their major, about time management, and pretty much the do's and don'ts of college. And overall, this is a really great event for everyone to meet each other and have a fun bonding experience. Key Club and Kiwins can make new friends, and they will have a really great time learning. And lastly, this is not listed. Oh, this is not listed, but awards. It is actually one of the biggest factors to consider. And for most of the Kiwanis family chairs out there, having hosted a Key to College is really beneficial for yourself, and it really looks good towards your reward, and it also looks really good towards your club. So planning a Key to College.
So this slide, oh, this slide is discussing the ways in which we need to work with the Kiwanians in order to allow the Kiwins and Key Club students to this program. So probably like 1 month in advance, you are required to get the Key Club region advisor's approval. So depending on where your school is and the proximity of different Kiwins and Key Club divisions, you might have to talk to different region advisors. For your knowledge, which is all included in the IRF, but I will repeat here, you are able to invite Key Clubs students from 35 miles away from your school. So, that can encompass maybe one division or multiple. And to get that information of the Key Club region's contact information, you can talk with the LTGs that you work with, or you can look at for example, the CNH Key Club newsletter, which will include all the information of even the region advisors and the emails of the LTGs. It's imperative to establish communication with the LTGs and the region advisor, because it's an event that you host for them, so you would like their input of when it's best for them. So whether you want to plan it earlier in the year or later in the year, you want to discuss that to make sure you get the best program that works for everyone involved. Another important aspect is to ensure that your club board is on the same page regarding logistics. One great thing for making this happen is that you'll be able to get the support of the numerous board members in your club, so they can help you out in this long, arduous process. And lastly, you can't have this program without having a room. So ensuring that you have properly sized rooms will ensure that this event can even happen.
So creating your Key to College. So you should always gather your core team members. So you may or may not have your own separate subcommittee for Key to College, but if you do have a subcommittee, you can always delegate your tasks and tell them to help you plan this process for your Key to College. And most importantly, you need volunteers. Without volunteers, this event is not possible. So you would definitely need the help of your e-board or a-board and other general members from our club, whether it's hosting a workshop or becoming a team leader. For my Key to College, I had separate groups. So there were team leaders, and they led a group of probably 20 to 25 key clubbers. And team leaders are a great, they're pretty essential to making this like more organized. And asking your Kiwanis Club for resources. Like I mentioned before, always advertise to your sponsoring Kiwanis Club, or like tell your the other key club region advisors that you would also like to help have them for Key to College, because without them, this event is not possible. And it is always nice to have their presence, since this is a Kiwanis family event. And choosing a theme. This is optional, but as you can see on the PowerPoint on the slide, there are several themes that you can incorporate to your Key to College to make it more fun, interesting. For my Key to College, I had a theme of superheroes, but try not to incorporate too much copyright, because that's not preferred. And determine catering. This is actually optional, but usually most Key to Colleges have food provided to the attendees, Key Club, Key Wins, and even the Kiwanians. The most simple way to provide food is ordering Costco pizza and buying bottled water at Costco. So that's really easy. Create a scheduled rough draft. Have an itinerary ready for your home club and even the Key Club LTGs, as well as the chaperones that will be attending the event, because you would always want to be organized and see what the schedule is like for all the attendees, so everything is prepared and nothing will be clashing. And next up is determining workshops. Uh, there'll be more about workshops in the next slide, but have actual fun workshops that won't be boring for the other, for most of the key clubbers, because like sitting through multiple workshops can be pretty boring. So make sure it's informing and fun. Determine alternative activities. Always have icebreakers, because you would always want to break the ice, get to meet new members, get to know new members, make new friends, and yeah, try to schedule a practice run. You can always have a practice run of workshops with the workshop hosts, or have like a rundown of what everyone else in your club needs to do, like specifically the volunteers, where they should be or what they should do at specific times. And yeah.
Okay, so now I'm going to talk about advertising and publicity for Key to College. So I'm just going to be straight up with you guys. Getting Key Clubbers to attend events is probably one of the hardest things you can ever do as a Kiwanis family chair. And I know that that's really real, but it's true. So some of the things that I thought of for advertising / getting Key Clubbers to come to your event, up with the Key Club LTG and get them to help you as much as possible. Like, I wish I thought of this when I was doing my Key to College, but Facebook event pages are really helpful because you'd actually get a list of who's going. As soon as you make the page, have make the LTG also an admin or a host, so that way they can invite their members into the event page. Also, make sure that the LTG is constantly discussing it at their meetings or DCMs, just because the LTG is like the closest bridge you have to the Key Clubbers. And then if you can, if the Key Club division or the Key Club clubs has a newsletter, LTG to post it on the newsletters, so that way when they read it, they're constantly reminded about it. And then I think this is one that people don't really think about, but we should also be advertising to our Kiwanis clubs, because the Kiwanis clubs are the ones who sponsor the Key Clubs, and the Kiwanians will try their hardest to make sure that their Key Clubbers are going into your event. The Kiwanians love supporting every branch, and so this event is not any different. And then also you yourself should be present at as many Key Club events as possible. So try to attend the Key Club DCMs. If you can't attend DCMs, try going to meetings, and then even talk to any Key Clubbers you know. Like if you're like a freshman, like in college, you probably have like a bunch of friends still in high school that you can probably invite over. And then make sure that you emphasize that the event is free. Well, I mean, usually it's free. I haven't heard of a case where they charge people. So if the event is free, then make sure you emphasize it because people love that. And if you're gonna have food and drinks, make sure you emphasize that because people love free food. It's like common knowledge. And then here's a really helpful, handy like check sheet that you guys should consider when making your key to college. I wish I had one of these when I was making my key to college. So create a sign-up sheet for your club members at least 1 month in advance, so that way your club members can start seeing if they have time to do it, and so that way they can see if they have the availability to volunteer. Have the schedule finalized, so that way it's easier for all the volunteers. Yeah, so have the schedule finalized. It also will make it easier on your end, so that way you're not trying to scramble like last-minute workshops and activities into it. Determine the workshop hosts and other presenting members at least 2 weeks in advance, so that way the workshop hosts can make their workshops. You'd be surprised like how many times we've had to like gather a workshop host like literally like the night before, and they made something like the night before. Try to make it easier on both parts. Another one is to double check your room reservations. Oh my gosh, when I was having my key to college, I was going through like a panic attack because like a week before I called to make sure they had my reservation, which they did 2 weeks before. When I called a week before, they were like, this is under a different name. And I was like, what? Yeah, so I was in like a mad panic and trying to get different rooms. Eventually we got the whole situation sorted out. So just make sure that hopefully that doesn't happen to you guys. Double check and ensure your catering. If you do decide to do catering, usually what we do is just we order pizzas. Or I know one time we ordered like porta sub sandwiches. So whatever you decide to do your catering, just make sure that they're on track and they're up to date with what you guys are ordering. Have the decorations finished. If you do decide to decorate, those should be done like a few days before, so that way when it's the day of, you guys can just decorate and then be done, not worry. Have copies of all handouts, brochures, etc. printed out a few days beforehand, and always print out extra copies just in case more people decide to show up. This was also like another thing that I was freaking out about because I didn't have extra copies, and then suddenly like a bunch of people decided to come in, so we had to make like extra copies on the spot. And then have all the supplies bought. So if you ever do like activity, like warm-ups, or sorry, not warm-ups, icebreakers that need like materials, make sure you get all those done, like at least the night before or sooner if possible. Before I go on, does anybody have any questions? If you do have questions, feel free to write them in the chat, and then we'll get to those as soon as we can. And then here's like a checklist for what you should do the day of. So make sure all volunteers know where and when to be at and which spaces they should be at. So for example, if a person has a workshop at like, let's say 2 p.m., you can tell them to get there like 1:30 p.m. So that way they're not there the whole time if they have to do other things. Also make sure the decorations are set up. This should be done hopefully before the key clubbers start to arrive. And then this is a very important one because I was freaking out when I was having my key to college, but have a person pick up the food for you and try not to ask them the day of, because sometimes people don't want to spend money on gas, or sometimes like they just can't do it, or they're not comfortable carrying around 20 boxes of pizza, and I understand that. So you got to make sure that you find somebody who is capable of doing it. And then some after the event stuff, really easy. Make sure the room is clean. You're probably gonna book it like under Circle K, so you don't want to have bad reputation with the university. Make sure you surf it. Everybody deserves to get the hours that they worked for. Write about how great your key to college was on your KFAM award, because this is a pretty good chunk of points earlier. Also write a newsletter, help your newsletter editor. I'm a PR chair right now and I wish somebody would write me more articles. And then go get a massage or go get some boba or both, or do whatever you want. Hashtag treat yourself, hashtag Parks and Rec. And then the last slide I will talk about is things to consider during like to college have to be boring and bland. The answer is no, it shouldn't be. So here's some like common workshops that I did at mine, and I know that a bunch of other universities do. So College 101, that's basically like the college rundown of things they should expect, like what classes are like, or like how to pick classes, or what rate my professor is, or what the chili pepper and rate my professor means. Things like that should be all mentioned in College 101. Dorm life is obviously talking about like what to expect when you're living in the dorms. I remember 3 years ago at our college, they had a really cool like dorm like cooking class. So they basically made like a bunch of food in a rice cooker, and I was like blown away. And I bought a rice dorm. Another one is financial aid. People love scholarships, people love money, so make sure that you can help the key clubbers with that. College life hacks, like show them how to like make a grilled cheese sandwich with an iron and like some tin foil. It's possible, you can do it. Show them some cool things that'll get them interested in college, that'll get them ready for it. And then another really important one is helping them pick a major / university, because a lot of the time these kids didn't really know what to do with their life. I mean, I feel like that's a lot of people. Like I know somebody who's like a junior, but I bet if they went to that workshop, they probably would have known. And then do some engaging activities. Like when I had my key to college, I did a finger painting. I was like, finger paint your future type thing. Yeah, something basic like that. I also did like a fun campus tour. Or about my year, we did like a campus scavenger hunt. So we had the key clubbers partnered up with Circle Kers, and they just went around trying to do the odd tasks that were on the list. Breaking off into groups also makes it easier to control key clubbers, because you know what happens when you get like a bunch of like hormonal high schools together. It's crazy. So that's why you get like hormonal college students to help the hormonal high schoolers, and it makes things like not as crazy. Is really important. It's built on the foundation of icebreakers, I guess, because we seem to have those at every event. If you can, do like a community service project. And a really cool one is a college panel. So it's basically getting like the people, like the Circle Kers, to sit behind a table, and then the key clubbers can ask whatever questions they want related to college that they're comfortable asking. And that's all. There's a lot of other things that you guys should add. If you guys think of any like fun things, you should be sure to share them with us.
Okay, so before we move on, there's a question in the chat. So the question is, how many people should we be aiming for to help set up and run the event? So this really depends on the key to college that you expect to be hosting. Is it going to be a huge turnout? Is it going to be a average sized decent one? For me, my key to college had approximately 100 key clubbers attend, but I needed around 30 people to help me with workshops, being team leaders, handling food, directing traffic, and other setup, takedown stuff. So it really depends how big your key to college is. Manny, Mickey, do you guys have any suggestions?
Yeah, I'm gonna go out to mine. My key to college is usually not that big, because the key clubbers here, the key club here isn't like super big. But I would say like if you are not trying to get so many Circle Kers there within 10 people, like I think one year we had like 50 key clubbers and there were like 10 Circle Kers, and that was enough to do it. Just have like the Circle Kers take on like multiple jobs, so some can be workshop hosts, and then when they're not workshopping, they can be leaders, and then of course they can all just be panelists. So I think if you utilize the people well enough to expect, you shouldn't need like so much help. But then again, I only had like a smaller amount of people.
And I guess for me, I have a similar. When I had my key to college, I had a similar turnout to Lawrence's. I had roughly 100 Q-Ins and Key Club students, and I had approximately 30 volunteers as well. I did double up. Some of them volunteered to double up on responsibilities, such as some of them were both a panel guest and a team leader, or they did a panel and a presentation. So I guess for me, having more help allowed more people to be involved in the process and have more people with different experiences able to share their knowledge with the students, so they have a more wide range of advice to pull from, so to help them out.
Okay, so that was the question. And continuing on to our PowerPoint. So how to improve a key to college? It really depends if you have any advice from your predecessor, or if you have any criticisms from the past key to college. You wouldn't really know how to improve a key to college unless you know what happened in the previous key to college. But if you hosted a kid college and you know what to improve on, you can also give other people advice. So the first point is utilize your core committee. If you have a committee to help you, they will always be there to like assist you, and you can pretty much ask them to do anything. And there is always a few people that will be a helping hand, and they wouldn't mind doing anything. And make the event as easy as possible for yourself as a kid college host or KFAM chair. You shouldn't make your kid college too complicated, because that would just make it harder for yourself and even the other people assisting you. So keep it simple and make it fun. Don't stress. So this is one factor that I had faced like a lot, since I had to plan my kid college within 6 weeks, which was a very short amount of time. So those who are planning kid college within fall or maybe even winter for any reason, you have plenty of time to plan your kid college. And if you haven't started, you should start right now, because you're gonna stress about it, and don't stress about it. Work smarter, not harder. So always, please, please, please delegate. Your board, your committee, everyone is there to help you. Like, don't be afraid to ask someone to help you out, because there is always that one person or a couple people that are willing to help you. If you need someone to handle food, or you need someone to host a workshop, or if you want someone to answer questions at a team panel, or helps need someone to help take down, there is always someone there to help you. So don't be afraid to ask. Create a theme. As I mentioned before, my theme for my kid college was superheroes. You can make any theme, just make it fun. And if you want, you can have groups or teams. You can separate the key clubbers or key wins into different groups and make it more fun in a way, and have small icebreakers instead of like 100 people together. And the very last point is host a joint kid college with another local university if you can. This is done before. I believe that there has been divisional kid colleges, and it really depends if you can schedule it perfectly with the other schools, because it depends on the other divisions as well. Since we try to keep everything within a 35-mile radius, um, it can be difficult, but it can also be really successful. And since you have multiple people assisting you, it can be a really great turnout, really great event. So if you want, you can try hosting a key college with another school.
All right. So the next slide is alternate security college. But before I get to that, Lawrence kind of addressed the question that was just raised of my club is in a community college, and if it's I think a good idea to host a joint one with a four-year university. I'd like to say that's a great idea. A four-year university is not the only path a high school student can take. So having the perspective of those in community college would provide high school students like a different perspective and allow them to know different routes that is open to them for higher education. In addition, this would allow y'all to have a closer relationships with another school within your division. So it's a great idea, in my definitely. If so, we'll continue. So alternatives to Kita College. So like we were saying earlier, this is a event is to both help Circle K and Key Club. So sometimes the normal approach in which we have an event on campus and invite Key Clubs or Key Wins over to our campus is maybe not the best approach. So here are three different ways so we can be in their space. For example, if you want to focus on one particular school in your area, you can present maybe have a slot at their key club meeting and you can give a quick summary or like a condensed version of Key to College, or maybe you can do it over time. Another way is you could present at a DCM. Since they'll be wanting to go to it'll be, I apologize. So at the DCM, that's where Key Clubbers and Key Wins are with people, uh, of, with their peers. So they'll be very comfortable to go there. If you go, rather than perhaps it might be intimidating for them to go to a different branch of the Kiwanis Families event. But being at the DCM, you'll be within their space and you'll be able to present to those already going there. So yeah.
Okay, so now we'll be heading into testimonials, and for testimonials, each of us will be talking about our own personal experience for how our Key to Colleges went and what we thought about Key to College and the whole process technically, but in a span of a few minutes. So I'll be going first. I had my Key to College in the middle of March, and I was appointed as the Kiwanis Family Youth Relations Chair in the middle of March. Wait, did I say March or May? I had my Key to College in May, and I was appointed in March. So I didn't have too much time to plan my Key to College. So I pretty much had to dive head in to pretty much get to know what I need to do to plan Key to College. And I pretty much didn't know too much about the process of hosting a Key to College, but I knew that there was a lot of like Google Forms that need to be made, event pages that need to be made. Pretty much that was my experience. I attended as many Key Club DCMs and got real close to the LTGs that I worked with. And I made sure to give them constant reminders and made sure that they would also give constant reminders to their own division and publicize. You should always have like a Google form for like sign up for to see how many key clubbers that will or key wins that would attend your event. For me, I was really stressed because there was nobody signing up for my event, and in the last 2 days, pretty much 100 people signed up. So it was a relief, but at the same time, it was also really stressful. And even though it was pretty much 6 to 7 weeks of planning, there was enough time for me to plan a good Key to College. I still had over 100 key clubbers attend, so it was overall a good experience, a good turnout. And if I were to host another Key to College, I'll probably make a lot of changes to it because I realized there were so many things to improve, and I would definitely assist anyone that would need my help or even help my successor in the future.
Okay, so then I will go on to my experience about hosting a Key to College. So for traditionally, UC Berkeley Circle K hosts their Key to College in October. That way, we focus primarily on the college application process because most applications are due like either early November for those wanting to do like on the Common App, or UC apps or Cal State apps are due at the end of November. So we hope to equip them with information so they can go into the college application process stronger. So in terms of planning, I guess this testimonial is one more of, I guess, warning. To be quite honest, I did not plan ahead of time. Unlike Lawrence, who didn't have as much of a window, I just delayed and delayed and started really late. So I approximately had the same amount of time. I worked on it hard for approximately like 6 weeks, but it was in October, which was maybe like 5, 6 months into my term. So everything got backed up. I was like, it was really bad because midterms were coming up, and I had like so many Google Docs to release and get people to work on workshops and be panel guests and make logistics for like how does it to be a team leader, and so much to that I could have spaced out or could have just done it all over summer. So that's really bad. But so there's even like more consequences that came out of that. So I wasn't able to get out the Facebook invitation or get the LTGs really knowledgeable about the date until like a month in advance, and the event page around 2 weeks in advance, 2 weeks before the event. So word wasn't able to spread out maybe as much as it could have if it was 1 month, and I had less turnout compared to my predecessor, which is fine. But maybe if I had started earlier and had gotten all of that stuff prepared in advance, perhaps things would have been different. And then if something that I worked on to try to reduce the price of our club's payments to host the Kita College, I tried working on donations. So I used previous resources from like within the club to get a donation letter, which includes the club's tax ID number and affiliation with the student body. And I went to numerous grocery stores and different restaurants in order to try to get some free food to reduce the cost and make the event free for the attendees. Uh, so I would have loved to have gotten Costco to get pizza, waters, and whatnot, but they require everything to be processed 1 month in advance. And because I had working on this like 2-3 weeks before, that was something unavailable. For my Kita College, pizza and waters took up like over $200 worth of like my budget, which is quite a lot. So imagine getting all that potentially donated to you would reduce the cost of the event significantly. However, even despite that, I wasn't able to get Costco. I was able to get donations from the local bakery to get some bagels, uh, the local grocery store to get some cookies. So I was able to provide food for like breakfast, lunch, and a snack afterwards. So that's enough about food. So I guess in organizing my key to college, I try focusing the workshops to have either ones that I want everyone to listen to, which would be like how to apply and talking about the different applications like Common App, UC app, or Cal State app. And then for workshops that were, if I had two workshops running at the same time, I organized it trying to cater to older students and younger students, so like upperclassmen, juniors, seniors, and younger people, freshmen, sophomores. So I had like financial aid, or how to write a personal statement to cater to older students, and like how to prepare for college, and for younger students. Despite maybe starting late, uh, it was I was able to get through this process because of the help of my board. They were such an invaluable help for me. They were able to help me make posters, and like for example, I talked to my e-board to help me out. My AVP was able to go to Costco and purchase like the 10, 12 boxes of pizzas and like 4 cases of water. And my predecessor was able to check a lot of my work and make sure I had a lot of things done. So in the end, it was a great program, but it would have been really great to have started early. So I guess the things to take away is really rely on your board to get your key to college done. You're not alone in this process, and your board's there to help you out. And start early. And that's it for me.
Okay, so how my key to college went. So just a little backstory. Every Kiwanis family chair before me has literally told me that this is going to be the most stressful time of your term and that you're probably going to cry. Did I cry? No, I did not cry because I don't cry. But anyway, I'm not going to lie, this event was pretty stressful just because it is like one of the biggest events that you will have as a Kiwanis family chair. And also because it comes at a time in the year, well, my club hosts it in October, November. It comes at a time in the year, full time, because that's like midterms and like all these other things in between. Honestly, like I had taken the steps and like prepared better. Like I had a webinar at the time chair because I totally would have had a better understanding of what to expect. I also wish I utilized like a core committee better. So really take the things that we're putting onto our webinar and take it to heart and really utilize it because it'll make your life so much easier. My key to college, it was pretty good for the most part. We just didn't expect like the number of students to show up that did. So that was kind of like a hassle on our end. But there really wasn't much that we could do there. I mean, other than probably have like a better way of getting a head count on key clubbers sooner. But as far as workshops go, I try to keep it as minimal as possible. So we only have 4 workshops, but we combine them with like different aspects. So like one was College 101/dorm life. So we just combine those 2 together instead of having them as 2 separates, just because you put key clubbers in a room for too long. I mean, you put anybody in a room for too long and they eventually go crazy. That's why they make that like a thing in prison. But anyway, so we had 4 workshops, and then we also tried to put like as many alternate activities in as possible. So like I said, the finger painting, like the key clubbers love that. Like they love taking home their work. I don't know like if anybody hung their work up, but I mean they said that they love the activity, so I'm going to take that to heart. Also, the like they're going to be going on a lot of campus tours, especially if they plan on going to a school that's near them. So try to spice up your campus tour. Like we did a scavenger hunt. That's like a photo scavenger hunt. So you have to do different tasks in front of different buildings. And they really seemed to like that one. We also just kept our food costs low by just serving pizzas and like water, like he said, or like various drinks. So, I mean, you really don't need to stress out so much over your event. I think as long as you take the steps to like get the event going and to make sure that the event is going to be successful, like way in advance, then you should be like, especially things like room reservations, like that's something that can easily be taken out within like, 5 minutes. Just go talk to your school, like room reservation office, and then go get some rooms. And then suddenly that's off your list and it's one less thing to stress about. So try to figure out like what for this event are and start knocking those out of the park as soon as you can. And that's all I have as far as my testimonials go. And so now we're going to open up. So please start typing up questions if you got any. I know we do have some right now. What's that Jeopardy theme song? Let's go. You guys write down. Okay, so here's one question that I saw that we didn't answer yet. It is, what is the strategies for picking a venue? I'll go ahead and answer that first. Mine as cheap and as easy as possible. So if your university allows you to reserve rooms for free, I would honestly just consider doing that, because not only is it like it's close to campus, so that's awesome. It also makes it easier for your end. I would try keep like putting it in like a somewhat interesting building, because nobody wants to go into like a building that is falling apart. We know we all have those buildings and or somehow still have it in there. And then also try to have it in a place that has like a big main room that can probably fit like 100 people or so, and then that's surrounded by like smaller rooms. I know like one of the buildings in my university, like our student union, it has like a really big theater, and then we can also like when we decide to break up into workshops, we can put them into like smaller rooms that fit like maybe 30 to 50 people. So if you have something like that in your university, I would totally consider utilizing that. House have anything to add to?
I guess I'd like to add, if you can put it near a building that has maybe a parking lot, or where it's easy for parents to drop off their students, to create less of a hassle and ensuring that maybe students wouldn't get lost on your campus. I'm sure you'd want to like create a map so they know where they're going, but less hassle, for less difficulties for the students, the better. For me, I'm really fortunate to have been able to host my kid college in a building near the subway station, so students were able to uh, not deal with parking in Berkeley, which is a real pain, but they were able to walk from the subway station straight onto campus. So maybe thinking about parking lots, or maybe bus stops or whatnot, that can make it easier for the students.
Yeah, so pretty much mine was the same. I hosted mine at UC Riverside, but the only problem is it was pretty far for a lot of the attendees. But luckily, we still had a lot of attendees. There were a lot of parents dropping their kids off, so that was really helpful. And those who drove, they also paid for parking, so bless them for attending my event and also paying for parking. And yeah, just pretty much um, choose a venue that is probably the cheapest or even free. For me, it was under Circle K as an org, so we were able to get the rooms for free. And also, definitely make a map for your attendees to know where they can be dropped off, picked up at the end of the event, or even if they have to pay for parking.
All right, so we got more questions. So one of them is earthing. So technically you don't need to earth. However, you do need to go about the process of emailing the region advisor, getting their permission to allow the LTGs to attend. So yeah.
Okay, so we have another question. How do you get new members involved in the planning process for Cutie College? Manny, do you want to answer that?
Okay, how to get Circle K members doing? So one way you could do is kind of advertise it as a leadership position. So you'll be giving them the responsibilities of maybe you can include them in a planning committee, or you can give them the responsibility of creating and hosting a particular workshop, or uh, providing being a panel guest, and then just saying that this is a great way to be part of something bigger and uh, share their knowledge with maybe those who have not as many resources as them.
I'm gonna add on to that too. So I think a really good way to get people to help out with your event is honestly you're gonna have to like personally outreach to them. Like if you know somebody who's a really good workshop host, then you should be like, hey, I need you to be a workshop host. Also, we're college students and we all have like a lot on our plate. So I think minimizing the amount of time they have to be there would also be really helpful. So like if you know that they're only available for an hour that day, like try to just have it so that way they're scheduled to do their workshop like somewhere around that time. Like I know when we were doing Architecture College, we would have people who were workshop hosts come in like 15 minutes before their workshop, get it set up, and then they would leave like 15 minutes after their workshop. Just that way they were in and out and they weren't wasting any of their time. So just try simplifying it. And then another thing is, I'm just gonna say that being in the Kiwanis family, I'm sure other Kiwanis family chairs can attest to this, but it is also like one of the hardest committees to get people to go to events to. Back up to like the core committee thing. So honestly, figure out find your 4 besties or your like key club or key to college besties and get them to plan stuff with you, and then like make sure you're like constantly like gratifying them for their like hard work because people love gratification.
Okay, so we have another question. Speaking of time, how long should Cutie College be? It really depends on how big your Cutie College is. if there's going to be a lot of people, try to have it from anywhere between 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. I feel like that morning to afternoon time is probably the best. And if you want to have more people attending your community college, maybe even like ask them a month or two beforehand if they want to have their DCM after your community college. So if you want them to have their DCM from 3 to 4, you can probably have like probably 20 to 40 more members attending your community college, depending on how many divisions you invite. So yeah, having a community college from 9 to 4 is probably pretty reasonable. Anything to add?
Yeah, I agree. 24 hours is really good. I mean, if you have like a lot of activities, be okay. But I think anything past 6 might be pushing it, and you might be losing the attention of the key clubbers. So just keep that in mind. I mean, nobody would ever want, like, you don't want to take like 2-3 hour classes at once, do you? So don't put them in there.
I agree as well. My kid college is 9 to 4 as well. So making sure that it's such a long time, providing them food is really important so they can stay attentive. And yeah. So we have another question. Did you have Kiwanis involvement in your kid college planning? If so, how did they help? For me personally, I did not have Kiwanis involvement for my planning. All I really did was tell them when the date was and ask them if they could let their let uh, especially the advisors within the Kiwanis club, if they can let their uh, presidents know about the day of Kita College so they can know about it. But now I did not ask Kiwanis to help me with the planning process.
Okay, I'm gonna add on to that too. So I didn't really get much Kiwanis help as far as like making my key to college, but I did like kind of do a rundown with the region advisor, so that way he knew like what was going on and like what to expect at the event. He wasn't able to come to the event because he had like a thing out of state, but he just wanted to know like what the people were going to be learning. So I think him like being involved like that way was really helpful to him, and it also just like puts like less like stress on them because they're not worrying about like what exactly we're teaching them and like what we're putting into their minds. So that's one way to get them involved. It's just like having them check your agenda.
To add on to that, Kiwanis involvement really depends on how active your sponsoring Kiwanis club is. You can sometimes have like multiple Kiwanians or like a lot of Kiwanians attending your event. Like just chaperoning is one easy way. For me, I had quite a few Kiwanians chaperoning, and if you want, you can even ask them to host a workshop for you at your Kitty College.
Okay, and with that, it is 9 p.m. and I don't think there's any more questions. I can't even see the questions, but I'm assuming there's no more. So, and it's because it's 9 p.m. We will go ahead and we will call it done. If you guys do have any more questions, feel free to like ask any of us. Feel free to like Facebook DM me if you want. Slide into my DMs, but don't turn it into that. Cool. Anything else for my other two co-hosts?
I think we're good. Thank you everyone for attending our How to Host a Key to College webinar. and have a great evening.